guys.
Okay, so today we are going live on both Facebook and TikTok. So once again, if you see us looking back and forth, that's just because we got two different phones going on. So we are testing out a mic with this Facebook group here. So if you cannot hear us, let us know, or if we're like yelling at you, also let us know. So today we wanted to kind of go over some really easy additives to your pet's bowl, ways to boost their health and nutrition, some ones with some functional things as well. We just wanted to talk about some super quick and easy ones, and then also open up a Q&A afterwards for anyone that has questions. So I see we've got a couple people that have started to pop on, so we might as well just get right into it. I will go first, I guess, with a fresh food topper. This one can be found in your fridge, so this one's super easy. It's eggs. So this is a really good addition to any pet's bowl, whether it's a cat or a dog. Of course, with the kitties and the small dogs, they're not going to get a full egg, they're just going to get a portion. And then bigger dogs can get a whole egg, of course. These are really good for omegas. Also, if you can save that eggshell membrane. That eggshell membrane is so beneficial for dogs. Really, really good for their joint health. Kitties usually love it as well. I just crack the egg, and then you can almost peel off that membrane. You can give the shell as well. I just like peeling it off because it's a little treat. So yeah, you could do traditional chicken eggs. You can do duck eggs. We also carry quail eggs that are currently out of stock. Those quail eggs are really good for the littler dogs or cats because they're tiny. So they're not all of their calories in one bowl. So, Catherine's saying Mimsy loves her egg when I make breakfast. That's awesome. And you can totally feed eggs raw. You can cook them, you can poach them, you can scramble them. Of course, just make sure we're not adding in any seasonings they can't have. Like, we don't want to add salt. Not very beneficial to them, or anything onion. So, yeah, that's kind of the first really super quick way you can boost your pet's meal. I would do it once a week. I want to do it more than once a week. Just because you're not going to see any extra benefits than more than once a week. So, do you want to go into the next one?
I'll go into the next one. So, some of the things, if you guys watched last week's live, we did kind of go over them a little bit, but these are still amazing products to add into the bowl every single day, or like Ella said, once a week. Whatever you can do to boost it up as much as you can. So I guess I will start, let's start with mushrooms.
Yeah, go for
mushrooms are super good, not only just for us, but for pets as well. They have lots of cancer-fighting agents in them. So these are two of more of the main products that we sell for mushrooms. We have more. This is just what we have left from Super Snouts. So this one is just the turkey tail mushroom, and this is a blend of how many? 7 different mushrooms. So they're both great, but honestly, the more mushrooms you can get in the meal, the better. If you don't want to buy it in a concentrated version like this, any mushroom that we can eat and buy from the grocery store, they can have as well. So if you're cutting some up and they're looking at you like, Mom, Dad, I want some, give it to them. Super beneficial for them.
Perfect. And we're getting some questions coming in on TikTok. We see you guys. We're just going to go through these fresh toppers first and then pop into the Q&A afterwards, just to keep things in line for everybody else. I will go into the next one then. This is sardines. I am such a fan of feeding sardines to your pets. Sardines are wonderful. They're a whole food. So this is really good. All of these toppers are amazing if you're feeding a processed diet, like a dry diet or a kibble. These are amazing ways to add in those fresh whole foods in very simple forms. So you can get sardines, you can get frozen ones from a pet store. You can also get ones packed in water, no seasoning, nothing like that, just plain water, and you can just serve a little portion on top of your pet's meal. They're full of omegas, so they're really good for their skin and coat, also for their joint health. Sardines are an oily fish, so that's really going to help with the skin. So honestly, just a really good overall supplement. They are soft bones, so you don't have to worry about deboning them or anything like that. Serve them as is. The ones we usually carry are frozen, so you can serve them more as a treat. That will last a bit longer, versus the canned ones that they'll just gulp down right away.
Yeah.
But both are equally as beneficial, more so just the route you want to go.
Yeah, and the canned ones that we usually suggest that you get from the grocery store are just in water.
Yeah, just plain.
Not any additives, like Ella mentioned before with the eggs, no salt, no extra stuff. They don't need that. We probably don't need it either, but
we like flavor.
Exactly, so there's that.
Yeah, and those guys, same as that, the eggs, no more than once a week, just because they are an oilier fish. If we're giving too much, we'll see some softer stools. So,
yeah. I guess we should go into the next one. So we did talk about this one last week too. Berries, fruits, veggies, amazing for our pets, and lots of them actually tend to like them. So what we sell, we just brought this in about a week and a half ago, I think. This is Berry Blast from Northhound Life. So this one is a blend of 5 or 6 different fruits. So it has blueberry, raspberry, cranberry, blackberry, apples, coconut, and ginger. So just kind of like lots of fruits in there that are really antioxidant, just help with everyday life. Like Ella said, we can just do this once a week, and then the next day we can do an egg, and then the next day we can do a sardine. Totally mix it up. We also have a similar thing just from a different brand. It's just called Red Rover from 4 Leaf Rover. And let me just see. This one just has apples with the skin, blueberries, raspberries, and cranberries. So a little bit different, just kind of depends what you want to go with, but totally up to you.
These types of berry supplements are really good if you have a dog that has allergic reactions. They do help with that. They help to minimize those symptoms. Of course, you can feed your dog just plain blueberries or raspberries out of your fridge. Some dogs don't like fruits and they will not touch them, like mine. That's where powder is super easy. Or they also store nice. So if you're worried about your fruits and veggies getting old before you're going to use them all, or you want them for yourself and your family, these guys are super convenient and easy to use.
Yeah, and also what we mean by allergies, not necessarily food allergies can sometimes help, but also just kind of like the environmental allergies, seasonal allergies, stuff like that. There is many options that you can do for that as well, but this is just one of those ways that you can do that. So quick and easy stuff, like I said, and it's just the same when we're buying stuff from the grocery store. We can have it, they can have it, feel free to give it to them. So yeah.
Next guy, Primal Fresh Toppers. Okay, so we were talking about a lot of healthy additions into the bowl that you can find from the grocery store. So of course you could go home and you could grab your kale and your broccoli and your sprouts and you could make a smoothie for your dog that you add onto their dish. Or you could buy one as well. So that's why we have these guys. If you want to go through all that hassle, go right ahead. That's awesome. But these guys here, the Primal Fresh Toppers, these are really easy additions to the bowl. They're frozen. So you've got 3 different varieties. You've got your green one. This is their green smoothie. Kind of like that kale blend, bone broth, butternut squash, apple cider vinegar, bok choy. Like the ingredient list of all the great veggies is how long.
Yeah.
So really awesome. You just thaw these guys, put a little dollop onto your pet's meal once a day, once a week, whatever you want to do. That one's super good for like overall immunity. This guy here is Omega Mussels. So this is a blend of mussels. It is a little bit stinky, but think like those sardines, kind of in the same category. Really good for omegas. They're also really good for supporting joint health in pets. If you have a picky pet, mussels are also really good to help them eat. They are stinky, but the dogs and cats usually love them. They're very palatable.
Yeah.
So those are good ones. Do you want to go over that one or do you want me to?
You're on a roll,
Okay.
so go for it.
So this guy is their Digestive Blend. This is their winter squash, not butternut squash, winter squash.
Yeah.
So winter squash and bone broth, this is a really good fiber source for animals that are needing extra fiber. So if you have a dog that is suffering with anal gland problems or loose or too hard stools or any sort of digestive upset, this is your guy. Also, if you're switching your foods and you need like a nice transition or something to help the transition, fiber sources are amazing. So what we like to say is pumpkin is great for kind of your everyday support. The winter squash is like pumpkin on crack. So really good. You actually feed less of it, and it's frozen, so super easy to serve. All these guys, if you're not going to go through them in the 7 days once they're thawed, you can pre-portion them and thaw them, pre-portion them into like little ice cube trays, and then you have individual portions.
Yeah, or if you just want to scoop it out frozen as well, that's
That
another
works.
option. Our pets honestly don't really care about temperature. Like, to us, we might be like, ooh, it's frozen, we want to warm it up. Avoid that if we can.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, they don't care about temperature, so
Yeah, you can serve them thawed or frozen.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
yeah,
Yeah.
they'll eat it either way.
I will put these in the freezer.
Perfect.
before
Okay, so I'm going to read through some of the questions, so just bear with me. And if you have questions, keep them coming, we'll answer them. I just want to make sure that we're not missing anything. Catherine on Facebook also said that Mimsy loves her sardines and water and her vegetables as a side dish from her kibble. Really, really great options. Holy, the questions are just coming through. Okay, so this is where we started. That'll
Okay.
be...
Any great advice for my dog always being itchy? His skin is extremely dry. Any advice? Thank you. So we get this question a lot. I'd say we actually probably get it every Q&A, meaning it is a common concern with pet parents. Your first thing is diet. You always have to start with what is making up majority of that diet. We could recommend sardines and we could recommend fish oils because these are going to help with those omegas that help with the skin. But if 90% of their diet is something that is causing this itchiness, we're only going to get so far. So I would rule out some sort of sensitivity. My dog, for the first 8 years of her life, we could not figure out what it was. This was before any of us knew anything about pet food. And she has a chicken sensitivity. So once we remove chicken from the diet, she's no longer itchy. She's not scratching like she has fleas. We upped her quality of food a lot. So really just looking for those high protein, moderate fat, but low carb diets. If you're feeding dry, really good option. If you're already feeding like a dehydrated, freeze-dried, or raw, make sure we don't have a sensitivity, like a protein sensitivity or something else. And then if you've tried all those things, that would be the time to add in like a fish oil or doing your eggs or your sardines. Lots of things packed with omegas are going to help with itchy skin. So
Also, chicken is the most common allergy, so depending on what food you're feeding, those traditional kibbles that we like to call them, those a lot are going to be chicken-based. And when a pet is on the same protein for a really long time, whether that be a month, a year, years, same bag their whole life, that's when they could get itchy from the food and stuff like that. So just keep that in mind.
cool. Treats that are actually beneficial to keeping teeth clean.
I could grab some.
Yeah. So this is a good question. Lots of times you'll see like dental treats on the market that are kind of like a single bite treat. I hate to break it to you, they're not going to work. We need something that has an active ingredient that is going to help reduce plaque and tartar. And then we also want longevity. We want these dogs and cats to be chewing on these items for more than a minute. We need them to be chewing with that active ingredient. So your first kind of choice that's more like your standard, what you typically see. These are the protein plaque off chewy bones. These are dental chews similar to like your greenies, but way better because they have active ingredients. They use sea kelp, which helps to break down that plaque and tartar. And their ingredient list is really nice and short, and there's not any nasty preservatives or ingredients that we don't want to see. So that's why we carry this brand. Traditional dental treats, I'm not a huge fan of, just by reading that ingredient panel, and there's usually not an active ingredient in it. So they're more so just a marketing thing. So this would be kind of your first traditional choice for a chew.
Yeah.
Then Olivia's got these guys here.
Similar to those plaque off ones though, we also used to carry indigenous bones.
Yeah.
The exact same thing, we just switched distributors, so we couldn't get those anymore, and this was with our main distributor, so that's why we brought those in. They're both still really great brands though, so if you can't get plaque off, then you can get indigenous bones or vice versa. Another natural way, which is really, really great, is just raw meaty bones. So all I have here are just beef marrow bones. Whenever Rue has these, she loves them. You could probably see when I was holding them here, she was jumping up because she loves them. These are nature's toothbrush. So I would say if you're going to do them, try and do it like at least once a week with one of these bones. Since there is still some meat and stuff on them, on the bones, maybe this is their meal for the day. They just have this instead of kind of having their typical meal. You still can if you want to, but just to avoid overfeeding and stuff like that. And if you don't want to do this inside, that's where like the plaque off would be good. But definitely like in the summer, or if you don't mind these inside the house, this would be really, really great.
And same concept with these guys. They have natural enzymes that like break down plaque and tartar. So other than a kelp or a supplement for teeth, the best thing is enzymes in raw meat.
Yeah.
So feeding a raw diet is great, but our dogs aren't chewing on it for long enough to really see the full benefits of it. That's where raw meaty bones come in. You've got the enzymes, plus you've got an hour-long chewing session. You will see, like, take before and after pictures when you do raw meaty bones, because it is amazing to see the difference after the first bone and then after like the fourth or fifth. Like, there's almost nothing left on the tooth.
And so, even if you are doing these and you are brushing every single day, do both. If you aren't brushing every single day, try to get on that as much as you can. Just try to find a pet safe toothpaste that doesn't have xylitol in it, because that's poisonous for them. But this is another great option. So
cool. We could talk about cleaning teeth for hours. So, sorry, I'm new here. Is your company in the States or Canada? So we only have one location. We're a local business to Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada. Don't know if you know where that is, but we do ship worldwide. Somebody is asking, do you still recommend the raw bones in a dog that has pancreatitis? Depends on the raw bone. I would not feed a marrow bone because the marrow is very rich. But a knuckle bone that's really only meat and a bit of tendons would be okay. So it's more so really depends on the dog and where they're at in that stage of pancreatitis. If you're concerned, the Protein Plaque Off does make a supplement for teeth. That would be a good option. And their bones, I believe, are low fat as well. So. Is Open Farm a good dog food?
Oh my goodness. We could talk and talk and talk about Open Farm for days. And
I love them.
With Open Farm and supplements, there's something coming.
There is something coming.
There's something coming, so stay tuned. We're very, very excited. It's been a couple months we've known about it, but it's really exciting.
It's coming soon. So, yeah, we love Open Farm. We love all their products, everything that they do. Really reputable company. About the knuckle bones, you carry that product, the knuckle bones? Yes, we do. If you come in store, we can show you which ones they are. Or you can give us a call and we can help you figure that out. Someone said you guys are fantastic. Thank you. Are those toppers good for cats? Yes, everything we've mentioned is good for cats. Cats are a little bit pickier though, so they get to kind of decide what they want to eat in that sense. If you can't get them to eat broccoli, that's okay. We have supplements that are powdered. If you're really wanting to add in greens or berries like we showed, or mushrooms, and they won't eat the raw ones, that's fine. We've got powdered supplements. Most cats really like sardines and eggs, so those are good ones.
And whenever we do choose to do some type of powdered supplement, we want to make sure that there's a liquid with the meal, because we want them to ingest it so that they're actually getting the nutrients from what's happening, because if not, they will just snort it up and it's just going away. It's disintegrating into the air. So at that point, just make sure there's some type of liquid, whether that's water or even bone broth and goat's milk are really, really great as well for that. So
then you're like doubling up your supplements, which is great. Maybe we should clarify this. Not every dog needs individual supplements. Your dog doesn't need everything that we are saying in this live. But if you can do everything that we're saying at different points in their life, that is amazing. You don't have to give these things every single day. This is not to overwhelm you. You can do an egg this week and a sardine next week, and oh shoot, week 3 I forgot to give anything. That is fine. Let's just do something different on week 4. So you can change it up. Make it work with your schedule. Love these informative lives. We do them every Friday.
Yes, every Friday is just for you guys.
How long will the Primal Fresh container stay in the fridge when I thaw it out? I believe it's a week.
I believe it's a week,
So a week once you've thawed it. You can refreeze it once.
I'd say maybe 10 days is pushing it, but definitely a week.
Oh, we got someone answering. Yes, you can definitely give those to cats. Gracias. We got the Open Farm question. Oh, jeez. They all just came in at once. Is Open Farm a good dog food brand? Yes, we love them. We love them. We love them so much. Ice cube trays are a great idea for proportion.
Yeah.
Lots of people do them for their goat's milk or their bone broth, especially if you have a smaller dog or kitty who's not going to go through it in that time.
Yep, or even just like silicone trays. Sometimes that makes it easier to pop them out. Obviously, if you don't have them, ice cube trays are a way cheaper option, but just for convenience and popping them out, silicone trays are also great.
Yes.
I can't talk today, so
That's okay. That's what we have these days. Someone's saying, I'm late. I missed the brand of this product. Not too sure what product you're talking about because we're kind of going through these comments. If you want to describe whether it was like a berry one or mushrooms or what you were kind of looking for there, we can help you out. We can also just re-go through the products. What is good to help gain weight?
I think...
Is it a kitty or a dog?
Yeah, first of all, is it a kitty or a dog? It also depends on what we're currently feeding, if there's any underlying health issues.
Yes.
The simplest answer would just be feed more food. But if we are going to do that, we want to make sure that if we want them to gain weight naturally and in a healthy way, it is a good food.
Yeah.
Because if we're given something that's full of carbs and full of sugar, it's just like we're loading them up on popsicles all day long.
Yeah.
So
when we want them to gain weight, we want to gain muscle, right?
and healthy weight.
Healthy weight. We don't want to gain fat deposits.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
definitely, rule it out with a vet first. We do have a couple dogs that come in here and they eat way over the normal calorie level.
Feeding guide. Yeah.
For their weight. They've been checked by a vet. They say the vet's like, you look fine, you just have a higher metabolism. So some animals have higher, some have lower. Just double check to make sure it's not an underlying health problem.
And the what do you call that on the back?
The feeding guide.
The feeding guide.
Yeah.
I don't know why I couldn't think of that. The feeding guide, like it says, it's just a guide. So like Ella said, if you have to move it up, if you have to move it down, that's okay. It's just an easy way for pet parents to say, okay, my dog's around 30 pounds, I should be feeding around this much.
Yeah.
If you need to play with the numbers, go for it. It's completely okay.
Yeah, it's just a starting range.
Yeah.
Are there any toppers to avoid for kittens? If you're talking about kittens as in baby cats can have the same thing as adult cats. So anything to avoid would just be anything toxic to them. So we want to make sure, we want to be careful with nuts because some nuts are toxic. Xylitol is an artificial sweetener that is poisonous to cats and dogs. Onions, we don't want to feed onions or chocolate, kind of those types of things. But really, any other fresh foods that they want to eat, go for it.
And I know this is going to be backward for both of you guys, but this is just one of our magnets. If you want, you can screenshot the whole thing. But just on this bottom corner here, this is everything that's poisonous for dogs.
So we don't want to see caffeine, we don't want to see cooked bones, we don't want to see any sort of medications or fat trimmings or alcohol. Some nuts are, I think like macadamia nuts are toxic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Artificial sweeteners,
Yeah.
chocolate, those types of
Alcohol.
things. So, usually fresh foods from your fridge are okay. Some animals don't like citrusy things, and citrus should be in a lower level, but yeah. Oh, we've got a really big...
Yes.
Do you want to go for that one?
Okay, so I could read it out first. So this is from Facebook. I have a question. How much should an 8-pound Yorkie be eating per day? Mia eats fourth cup twice a day, but recently she's turning her nose up with her food. I was adding a topper, but won't eat until later tonight or not until late night when I feed her a 4th cup a day. Is this enough? I also add bone broth to her kibble. So honestly, I would have to look at the food that you're feeding. That's one of the things, because not every food has the same feeding guide. But for an 8-pound Yorkie, for the most part, around that 4th cup to half a cup, that usually is a good range of food. And if the dog is turning their nose up to the food, it could simply just be that they're not interested in the food anymore. We all kind of have our preferences. I know we've had a couple customers come in where their dogs are quite picky and they have to change up the food every meal, if not every day. Sometimes that's just stuff that needs to happen. And you are adding bone broth, so that's a really, really great additive. I would say keep doing that. Another thing you could try is just different types of toppers. You could do goat's milk. You can kind of just play around with a whole bunch of different stuff. You could also do stews. Stews are a really, really great option to do as well because it's that mix of meat, veggie, and some type of bone broth usually. So I would say try that. If it's one of our foods, you could let us know which food it is, and I could totally look at the feeding guide for you. But it also depends on, maybe they're just getting too much in a day, whether, yes, we may be feeding directly for an 8-pound Yorkie, but that feeding guide is also when you're just feeding that food alone. So if we're giving treats, if we're getting Meaty Bones, we're getting this, we're getting all these extra additive stuff, that is why they could be not wanting to eat their food. So there's a couple factors, but we kind of just got to rule out which one it is. But yeah, let us know if that helps. If you have any other question to add to that, let me know. So for sure. Okay. So somebody said that their kitten doesn't like fish. Sometimes that happens. Honestly, that happens. We've had quite a few people come in actually, and they say that their cats hate fish. When I first started working here, I knew nothing about pet nutrition. I knew nothing about how to feed pets. I had never had a pet of my own, and I still don't. But whenever people came in, I always said, like, try fish, try fish, try fish, because usually that's what they like the most. And lots of them said their cat doesn't like fish. So it's a weird thing, but we all have weird sensitivities or stuff that we don't like either. So any toppers you suggest or to avoid for kittens? It's the same kind of thing. You can kind of go and play around with all of them. For the most part, what you can give the toppers, you can give the toppers for dogs, you can give for the cats as well. So not a worry there. All of the stuff that we definitely showed, you can feed to your cat. So, okay, so we had the other question come through from the other lady talking about her 8-pound Yorkie. She said, I have tried many brands. She was on freeze-dried, but can't remember the brand from your store. She refuses to eat it anymore. Very fussy little girl. I started Blue Buffalo. Okay, so if we need to switch it up, that's okay. Our freeze-dried brands that we have are Primal, Noble, or Open Farm. One thing I will ask is, are you rehydrating it all the time? Because that could be why sometimes they don't like it. Because especially if you're feeding it as a meal, we want to rehydrate it every single time. Because when we have a freeze-dried food, it's almost like space food. When it's kind of preserved in its bag, it's good, but you need to add a liquid to kind of help bring all the nutrients and stuff back out of it. So I would say try that. With the Blue Buffalo, puppy could be liking it for a couple reasons. It is a little bit higher in carbs, so they could be, in a sense, addicted or getting addicted or liking the sugar a little bit too much in the food. So that could be why. It's just like us. We would prefer to have all the sugary food rather than our whole foods and stuff like that. So that's just another thing to kind of keep in mind. I'll go on to the next question. Any suggestions on games to stimulate a puppy? So I'm going to leave this question for Ella because this is what she loves to talk about. She's running over. This is totally Ella's, like,
I love this stuff.
This is her thing.
This is so much fun. Who asked that?
That is...
Oh, that was a question on TikTok. We
Yes.
just did a TikTok. You can be so creative with this. There's puzzles out there. We used to sell the puzzles. I like the puzzles. The only thing is once the dog figures it out, they figured it out. So they're kind of done. We do lots of snuffle mats, snuffle balls, those types of snuffle toys as well here. So they're kind of where you like hide treats either within a flat mat or within toys or balls. Those are really, really great ways to stimulate dogs' minds.
So this is one of them.
So you just kind of put the treats in between all these little flaps in this guy.
Or their food.
Yeah, or their food. You can serve meals in these, which is super nice if you feed a dry diet.
Yeah.
This is a snuffle toy here, so it's cute. It's like a little cabbage. But there's little pockets where you can actually put the food into. They don't look hard because we have opposable thumbs and fingers that can get in here, and we're like, oh, that's super quick and easy. But for a dog that just has their nose and their mouth, actually will take a long time. So these are good ones. You can also, I like using like cardboard rolls, like for wrapping paper, or brown paper or boxes even. You can use like old shoe boxes, poke some holes in it.
Yeah.
You can also use old socks. You can use old towels and roll them
mats.
up. There's so many things.
So many licky mats, licky bowls, like everything.
We did do a live a couple months ago. I think it was back in December or January on Facebook of easy ways at home that you can entertain your pup and do enrichment activities. So feel free to scroll through our videos on Facebook to find that guy, because it was pretty good, I'd say.
Oh my goodness.
Go be barking. We have a question on TikTok saying, are the toppers Open Farm brand? If that was what Olivia was talking about, we have freeze-dried toppers by Open Farm. We have gently cooked toppers by Open Farm. There's also freeze-dried by Primal, dehydrated by Smack, and then these are all supplements here. So these guys could be any brand. Any raw frozen food brands. So I don't know where you're based out of. We're in Canada here, so we have a bit different options. The brands that we carry and that we really like are Bold by Nature. So that's kind of good for your like medium to large size dogs because they have bulk boxes, which is super fun. We also have Primal for raw, and we are bringing in another brand, but I can't spoil it here because I've been super good at not spoiling it. So we're going to be bringing in another brand. If you're in the States, Bones & Co. is a really good one, and then there's another one, and I'm totally blanking on it, but it really depends on where you're based. You want to make sure that your raw frozen is a premium product. There are raw frozen grinds out there that are not balanced, so you do want to make sure you've got macro and micro nutrients in the food, unless you want to go and balance it yourself, there's a little puppy running around the store. Oh my gosh. My puppy is 4 to 5 months. How much should I feed him? It depends on how much your puppy weighs and how much they're expected to weigh. If you're feeding a raw diet, you feed to the expected adult weight. If you know that, I think 2.5% is if you're feeding raw. Otherwise, use those guidelines on the bag and adjust accordingly. We want to be able to feel our dogs and cats' ribs, and we do want to see, if they're standing to the side, we want to see a bit of that tuck in the belly, and then from the top down, we want to see kind of like a bit of a waist there. If they don't have this, they are overweight and they need to be fed less. If they have too much ribs, we want to feed them more. So it really puppies are hard because puppies, they're finicky. Like my puppy, when she was 40 pounds, she was eating as much as an 80-pound dog. She's not 80 pounds, and she will never be 80 pounds. So it really depends on your dog's metabolism. Someone commented cheese. I don't know what this was too, but I love cheese. Hi, my pit pup is allergic. Heavy response to raw. Now on hypo, still allergic. Any tips? We have had a dog that actually didn't tolerate raw and showed symptoms to it. It would be interesting to know how long you tried it, because likely what we see when people switch to raw when they have a severely sensitive dog is the first week or two will be great. It will look so good, and then they just boom, like they start getting even worse symptoms. It's awful for the next 2 to 4 weeks, and then they get better. This is a detox period. It's quite normal. So some people pull their animals off because it is scary when you're in that moment that they're getting these symptoms back. But oftentimes we just have to support them through it or make the transition slower. So that would be my suggestion, is maybe just look at what that was. If you were like, I tried raw for a year, it really didn't work for my pet, I would look into Carnivore. I don't know if you can get them around you. It's CARNA 4. Carnivore is a really, really good brand, super easily digested. We've had lots of dogs switch from hypoallergenic diets onto it. It is the only synthetic food on the market, synthetic free food on the market. So super easy to digest, could be really good for dogs with allergies. They have some exotic proteins as well, like a goat, venison. They also have a fish, which lots of dogs do well on. Just make sure you're easing into that transition and not just switching over within a meal. Can't get my cat off Kibble. I'm feeding Stella and Chewy's Kibble. Any thoughts on the brand? This is common. It can take cats up to 6 months to fully transition off of a Kibble. If you're meaning I can't get my cat off Kibble as in I'm wanting to try raw or something different like that, if your cat likes wet food, this is a really good way to use it. I would just introduce small little bits to wet food, and then you seriously, like, you start very small and then you just increase every week. We're going to do a little bit more raw and a bit less wet food and extend that process. If you want to take 2 months, that's great. As for Kibble, we don't have Stella and Chewy's in our store. The only reason is between Stella and Chewy's and Primal, when we were picking for the store, is that Stella and Chewy's, I don't know if they still do this, but they use synthetic vitamin K, I believe, which has been involved in some recalls. So that was just kind of our choice between Primal and Stella and Chewy's, is that Primal uses all natural vitamins and minerals. So that's why we don't carry Stella and Chewy's. If you're looking for a good kibble, I would say Open Farm or Carnivore are really good brands for the kitties. You can also try freeze dried with a cat. That won't switch off kibble onto raw and then just slowly ease into that transition. Yes, I'm wanting wet food. Okay, your cat won't eat wet food. What are the chances? Oh my gosh. Then I would just start really small. If your cat doesn't like the canned food, maybe try freeze dried. That might be interesting, or dehydrated. Just play with those textures. Cats are very texture and temperature oriented. So if you're feeding a wet food that is not room temperature, your cat could be responding to that. They might just not want cold food. So that might be something to look into. Also textured, try pâtés, try stews, try the like more jelly type ones. See what your cat likes. Have you ever heard of Pure Balance dry dog food? I was wondering if it's a good option. I have not heard of it. Anyone that is asking questions about brands, we do have on our website, if you scroll to the bottom of every page, we have like our little links. There is a What Grade Is My Kibble. It's just a free PDF tool, but you can go in there and it helps you go through that kibble brand and decide where it falls on a scale of A, B, C, or D. We only want A foods. So we can do a review of that one in the future if we get enough interest, but in the interim, I would say use that tool just to check it out and see kind of where it falls. So I think that's all the questions that we have. If anybody has any last questions, let us know. I hope this was helpful. We go live every Friday. We don't go live at a specific time. We just kind of we go gauging on when customers are in or out of the store. So yeah, we go live every Friday. We'll see you next Friday. We'll be coming at you with another good topic and a Q&A. So if you have questions, always feel free to ask them there. If you're on TikTok and you just popped in, or you popped in halfway through, our live immediately after this is ended will be posted to our Facebook page. So if you're wanting to watch beforehand, you can just go and watch there. We also post them all to YouTube, but that takes a couple weeks. So yeah, if you weren't here at the start of it, you can pop over to Facebook and watch it there if you would like to see. Thank you for joining us, everybody. We hope you have a great weekend, and we will see you all next week. So stay tuned. All right, bye-bye. I gotta figure out how to end these all.